Right, Michael, here's the deal. This wildcard problem, it's WWE's, it's not ours. So all you've got to do is stand at the door and keep those two pukes from the gaming channel away from our video. Got it?
Got it.
On you go.
Hi guys, I'm Adam Wilborn from WhatCulture.
And I'm the inspirational Andy Murray from WhatCulture. And remember, no KFC delivery order should ever take 5 hours.
Coming up, Vince McMahon's new favourite wrestler.
A couple of top stars missing the European tour.
A major NXT injury to tell you about.
A new signing for AEW.
And just good news. This is the news.
Right, so Lars Sullivan. We've probably got to talk about this, right?
Yeah.
So basically, if you've been paying attention to the internet, you will know that yesterday or the day before, a large Reddit thread, including a number of screenshots and forum posts that Lars Sullivan had made years before signing with WWE emerged. There was some really problematic content in there. Now, I know people don't like that word, but that's what it is. There's criticisms of Vince McMahon, AJ Styles, a whole host of other WWE superstars, as well as some rather unpleasant stuff relating to minorities that could really get him in trouble. Or so we thought. Basically, this thing's emergence, it wasn't anything new. A lot of these had come to light before, but seeing it presented all together in such a light really got people talking, and it led to speculation that Lars might be punished by WWE for all of these things. But we have a new report from Brian Alvarez, who of course works with Dave Meltzer as part of the Wrestling Observer and Figure 4 Online, stating that WWE actually knew about all of this stuff beforehand. None of it's going to get Lars in any hot water because apparently he apologized and they consider it water under the bridge. Now, this is obviously quite a complex situation. Everyone will have a strong opinion on it. It's not our place to sit here and kind of pick these things apart. I'm sure you've seen them all already, but it's quite interesting to note that WWE consider this a done issue, particularly when you have Big E tweeting out yesterday, and I quote, somebody came at him and said, "Are you aware of these things, blah, blah, blah." Big E replied saying, "Many are aware, if true, he has to bear the albatross of being a bigot and working in a company that is now filled with minorities." Hard to argue with that complex situation. Do you think this will have any impact on his push?
I don't think so. I think, like you mentioned there, WWE were already aware of this. I assume everyone in the locker room was already aware of it as a result of that. And with many of these things, you get the sense that they will be dealt with internally, and you know they obviously punish many people for many other things. Some people I saw online drawing comparisons with Leo Rush having backstage heat and getting removed from shows and punished for what he's done, and yet Lars is still getting this monster push. But if they are saying that they were already aware of it, then presumably this has already been dealt with months ago. It's just only now that the public are becoming aware of it. It's interesting to see other wrestlers within that locker room's reaction. But I can't see this affecting how WWE treats him. No,
if they've already dealt with it, they will, whether or not this is right or wrong, they will consider it already dealt with. Now, there is some pretty inflammatory stuff within this Reddit post if it is indeed Lars, and the Reddit user seems to be absolutely 100% convinced that it is, even going so far as providing images that the post maker had posted of Lars saying, "Here's a photo of me." Look, this situation has many different levels to it. It's controversial. It's probably not going to go away. It's probably going to follow Lars throughout the duration of his WWE career. And it's just kind of interesting that his on-screen fortunes are so high, but his off-screen ones are now very, very controversial.
I suppose the only saving grace, if we're looking for one here, is they're not pushing him as a babyface.
Yeah, that would be pretty transparent, wouldn't it?
So, I mean, I'd be really interested to see what people think about this in the comments, because when you see people debating it online, they are very much in two camps, aren't they?
Yes.
They are very much either, look, this was a long time ago, or time has passed, or this has been dealt with by WWE and it shouldn't affect him. And then there's others on the complete opposite end of the scale who say this should mean that he gets jobbed out. This should mean, arguably, they were saying, he gets fired from WWE. Yeah. So let us know your thoughts on that in the comment section below, and we'll update you, of course, on any developments with this story, especially centering around how WWE are going to be handling it. Right, moving on now to some better news when it comes to WWE. Vince McMahon's new favourite wrestler, and one of our favourite wrestlers, I think it's fair to say. Andrade is Vince McMahon's new favourite wrestler, or at least according to Fightful.com, they are reporting that he is still hot on him, especially as Andrade is improving his his English, as we've seen with him cutting the odd promo.
Yeah, this is really encouraging stuff. Obviously, I think it was maybe even as long ago as a year ago, and we heard a report that Vince McMahon was very, very high on the guy and saw him as this future star. A couple of months ago, we had a report from Big Bad Dave Meltzer in the Wrestling Observer saying that WWE thought that maybe finally Andrade could be the guy who finally fills that void as the Hispanic star of the company that Rey Mysterio was all those years back. And they've since tried to fill with people like Kalisto and Sin Cara. None of it's worked. Alberto Del Rio, none of that worked. Positive stuff. Andrade is obviously one of the channel's favourite wrestlers. We go on about the guy every single day. I think with Zelina Vega, they are a money act together. And as Andrade's English improves, that's only going to fare better for his prospects. The guy's awesome. And once he can cut like an excellent English language promo, he'll be really like, what will be holding him back at that point?
Nothing, because he is going to be Mr. Money in the Bank.
I'm all the way on board with that big sexy beast scaling the ladder and taking the briefcase after a big Baron Corbin tease, of course.
No, it's going to be Zelina Vega going up and grabbing it for him, just to really boil some
like
piss.
An opposite Ellsworth. The internet will love that.
Don't mention the internet and a reverse Ellsworth together. Let's move on.
Anyway, moving swiftly onwards. Another topic the internet loves. Lio Rush and Sasha Banks. Obviously, both of their WWE careers appear to be on ice at the moment following various backstage incidents. Well, now it looks like both of them have been excluded completely from the ongoing European tour. Neither were part of the plane journey that took the Raw roster from the USA to Northern Ireland on Tuesday, and neither of them were on Wednesday's show in Belfast. So, no great surprise here, but we've had confirmation of this from PW Insider. It's official, they're off the tour. Doesn't look like they're going to be featuring for WWE anytime soon, and it looks very much like we may have another couple of Neville situations on our hands.
Yeah, I mean, it's a real shame because the European tour, as you've heard from many sources within WWE over the years, is a big thing for them. They want their biggest, their best stars there. I still remember CM Punk, I think, being offered a movie. He talked about this when he had his infamous podcast with Colt Cabana and him saying, well, I can't do that. That's the European tour. This is a big deal for them. And those two stars who, of course, have had their issues within WWE not going on that should give you a major clue. Granted, I was one saying, it's fine. Sasha Banks will be there. She'll probably take someone's spot of Money in the Bank. And that may still happen. But this is not a good indication for something like that.
No, not at all. I think it probably suggests that they're out for however long. I think Lio Rush, as recently as last week, was backstage at Raw. This wasn't the case this week. After that big interview, of course, he gave with Fightful, really tremendous stuff. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't look good for either of them. Same goes for Luke Harper, obviously, who's had 6 months added to his contract. Dash Wilder's had time added to his contract, and they're trying to embarrass the Revival.
And you think they'd shave time off his contract?
Yeah, well, whoa, I see what you did there. Of course, in 2019, we've also had guys like Ty Dillinger and Hideo Itami actually get their releases. So there doesn't seem to be a lot of consistency with how WWE are handling these things. But I wouldn't expect any of these people, apart from those who are already gone, to be cast loose anytime soon. They're probably just going to get screwed.
Yeah, exactly. And for the rest of the roster, welcome to the United Kingdom. The weather here is
terrible
weather. Right, let's move on to an NXT injury to tell you about. Dominik Dijakovic, of course, was in the midst of a feud with the Velveteen Dream, but he is now subsequently going to take some time off to have some knee surgery on a meniscus injury. As a result of that, that's why he's been pulled from this feud with the Velveteen Dream.
Yeah.
Just a precaution, this presumably.
Yeah, you'd think so. Like, he was very level-headed about it when he announced this on social media. He has had surgery, and he sees it as a positive thing because it gives him a chance to grow stronger and recover and rebuild. It's really unfortunate for him. He already had his Keith Lee program kind of scrapped when Keith was injured before they could have a proper blow-off match. This mini Velveteen Dream program that seemed to be brewing is now off as well. Dijakovic is a guy who you'd think would have been well primed to take a big spot on the NXT roster now that it's been cleared out a little bit and he's been featured really well on television. All his squash matches have been excellent. He's a big guy who can do big mad flips and stuff. He has a relatively okay gimmick as well. It's kind of like a parallel to Ivan Draco almost. It's a shame for him. I was really looking forward to see him fly. But at the same time, if he needs this time off to grow stronger and heal himself, it's all for the best, and he will come back and he will make an impact.
Get well soon, Dom.
Big Dom. Anyway, we've got other news here relating to AEW, who haven't really had a big signing in a while, but they have now come to terms, apparently, with former Lucha Underground guy Angelico.
Yes.
Interesting signing this. If you know Angelico and you're not necessarily the most avid Lucha Underground watcher, you probably know that mad dive he took off of Dario Cueto's office roof on an episode. Insane stuff. He's a very charismatic guy, very talented, very smooth and fluid in the ring. Since kind of falling out of the shadow a little bit, he's come over to the UK. He's done boatloads of independent shows over here, which has primarily been his base of work. He's a South African wrestler, 32 years old, known for his flashy neon attire and Skrillex ring entrance, which is bags of fun live. Yeah, this is a cool addition.
I'm a huge fan of Angelico. Like you say, I didn't know a great deal about him aside from that Lucha Underground stuff until he came to the UK. We worked with him in Defiant Wrestling, or WCPW, and he just blew me away every time he was in the ring. Honestly, he is going to be one of those guys who may not be featured that prominently within AEW to begin with, but he is going to be the guy you see all the gifts of when it comes to AEW, I think. I'm expecting big things from him. He is going to be one of those things one of those guys who produces those moments that you can't forget about when it comes to pay-per-views, even if he's not heavily featured. A really good signing for them.
Yeah, and I think the fact that he's got a bit of a different look to the other flippy guys helps as well, because he's not like a short guy, he's a really tall, kind of skinny guy. Not skinny, but slender, lean. Yeah. And that'll help him set him apart as well. He's very good, and I can't wait to see what he can do in this size of promotion.
Exactly. Right, let's move on to today's final news story, and it is the great news that Mauro Ranallo has signed a new NXT contract. I think my favourite wrestler? Not quite. Favourite commentator in WWE. And he has signed on the dotted line. Great news for him. Great news for fans of NXT. Just nice news, this.
Yeah, I mean, Mauro seems like a consummate professional, very well respected, very nice guy by all accounts. He's almost everyone's favourite announcer, probably in wrestling.
Yeah.
I think like there aren't many people who would disagree with that. He is someone who, in most people's eyes, that's the fire alarm! It's still going. It's still going.
Oh.
Is this a proper fire alarm?
This is a real...
Oh, good.
Well done, bitches!
Our final news story of the day, after a brief intermission thanks to the fire alarm here at WhatCulture Towers.
Don't run up 7 flights of stairs, guys.
Or have a broken foot when it comes to a fire alarm, is the fantastic news that NXT commentator Mauro Ranallo has signed a new contract with WWE. I think it's fair to say everyone's favourite commentator.
Yeah, I can't imagine you'll find many people, certainly within WWE's audience, who don't think he's one of the best, if not the best in the business. Respected professional, by all accounts a very nice guy. Can't really see many reasons to be upset by this. He's going to continue as NXT's lead announcer going forward, which I'm sure everyone is very happy about.
Really looking forward to the next few years with Mauro Ranallo after he signed his contract. Sinacida. Doesn't work.
I was going to ask you to do a Mauro impression.
Mamma mia!
Pigton might be a vegan, but he's had a finger buffet.
Let's move on to our today's Twitter questions. You can send them to us at WhatCulture WWE. First question comes from It's Met from New Zealand, who says,
The hell was that?
My New Zealand accent. New Zealand.
Good.
He says, hey guys, do you think WWE are giving Kofi consecutive title defenses on TV so that if/when KO wins, they can say, well, he was a worthy defender of the title while he had it?
Nah, I think the 2 title defenses we saw this week were just, 1, them trying to save ratings by putting big matches in the main event, and 2, them just trying to present Kofi as a fighting champion who's willing to defend his belt wherever and whenever against whoever. I don't think Kevin Owens is winning.
No. I'd love him to, not right now. I don't think but I'd love him to be WWE champion. And I think if we were doing this storyline 3 or 4 months down the line, you maybe can make an argument. But it's generally considered with most sort of world champions, especially post-WrestleMania, their first defence is sort of a gimme, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
I know this isn't his first defence because he had to do it this week, but first on pay-per-view, I should say. Although, I'd be absolutely fine if they hot potatoed it a little bit, but I'd need Kofi to leave the feud still as WWE champion.
Totally agree.
Right, next question comes from Drew on Twitter, who says, once AEW settles in and proves they can bring in viewers every week, do you think they'll eventually move to Mondays and go head-to-head with Raw?
I do not. I think that is one of the big decisions that helped kill TNA. Obviously, you'd hope that AEW would be in a stronger position than Impact was when they made that decision, but that was suicidal. It just didn't work. Obviously, Raw's ratings are kind of in the toilet, but AEW still has a long way to go. Number one, they actually have to get a deal. Number two, they have to attract an audience. And number three, they have to keep that audience with a great product. I think, given that all the things that Cody and the boys have been saying about wanting to be their own thing, and like they're not even going to run WrestleMania weekends. Like everyone runs WrestleMania weekends, not AEW. So no, I don't think they will. I think they'll stay on Tuesdays, and that will be for the best.
I think they are competition for WWE, but they're not going to try and put WWE out of business like that.
No.
The Monday Night Wars that happened the way they did because of that exact thing. It was you or us, whereas I think both can coexist. I think we've mentioned this numerous times, and they found a lovely little slot themselves where SmackDown used to be on Tuesday nights. If you're a wrestling fan, you're used to watching wrestling then, and you don't want to have to be forced to choose between the two. I don't think. I think you can have both, and I think a lot of fans, myself included, even if it wasn't my job, I'd still be doing this, will be watching both on Monday, Tuesday, and Friday when, of course, SmackDown moves there. Final question from today comes from Andrew Lynch, who says, how amazing would it be to see Woken Matt Hardy and his disciple, R-Truth?
Interesting.
Yeah, I picked it because I thought it was a little bit interesting.
It would be really entertaining, and they certainly kind of teased that they might be doing something together on this week's thing. I do think that the Woken gimmick has probably ran its course. Like, it's still moderately over when he does delete chants and stuff. A few people still join in. But I wonder if maybe that has, we're now years removed from that thing peaking in TNA. I wonder if it's maybe done. But him and R-Truth, like, man, the segments would be hilarious. Both of them are really creative, really funny guys. I'd enjoy it.
Do we know when Jeff Hardy's going to be back yet?
He hasn't said.
No. But let's say, for argument's sake, it's 6 to 9 months, for example. I think I'd like to see Matt Hardy doing a gimmick. I just don't think the Woken thing would be a good idea, because I think you still have the possibility when Jeff comes back for those two to descend into Brother Nero and Broken Matt Hardy. So I'd like to see Big Money Matt. I really want to see that in WWE.
Yeah, I was a big fan of Big Money Matt in Ring of Honor and Impact, of course. Really entertaining stuff. Yeah, let Matt do some fun stuff.
But him and R-Truth, if they can do something together, whatever they decide to do, and they get a lot more creative control, I'm excited for big things.
It'd be big banter.
Right, let's move on to today's and finally, and you can probably guess what it is if you're a wrestling fan with access to the internet. Glenn Jacobs. Knoxville, mayor of Knoxville County. Is that right? Isn't it?
Yeah.
Was doing a speech recently, and I'm sure we can't show the footage, but we can certainly show clips or images of what happened. Someone came on, one of the goobers who works for him or whatever, came on, and he just can't let it go. He can't just be Glenn Jacobs, can he? He popped on the mask and he chokeslammed him, and then proceeded to go, right. Where was I? Whilst giving a speech. And it did pop a few people by the sounds of it in the crowd.
It was really fun stuff, to be fair. Like, I'm loving Mayor Kane. Obviously, I don't know what he's like as a politician. I don't live in his constituency. But this stuff's bags of fun. Long may it continue.
Absolutely.
Can you imagine Theresa May doing that? No. Yeah.
Anyway, let us know your thoughts on that and all of today's news stories in the comment section below. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And you can send us your Twitter questions at WhatCultureWWE. Well, actually, they can follow both of us. You can follow him at
Andy H. Murray. The H stands for hooray.
You can follow me at Adam Wilborn. You can follow us all at WhatCultureWWE. No wild cards today.
Yeah, but Dorman has done his job. Thanks, Michael.
Thanks, Michael.
Good work.
My thanks to Andy Murray. Thanks to Michael. Thank you for watching, and we will see you soon.